Well, hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, NoleFam, to another episode of our Australian Open special here on the Novak Weekly YouTube channel. I'm your host, Marko Milenković, and joining me today is my co-host, Mario Boccardi, and my dear friend, Jay Schroeder, the deputy editor of Novak Books. Unfortunately, as you can see, our friend and co-host Srihari is not going to be joining us today because it's very late right now in Dubai, and Srihari has some, very important work today tomorrow in the morning. We decided to give him a day off, so he will be joining us on Friday. But today it'll be just the three of us. Okay, gentlemen, Novak did it again. He defeated Taylor Fritz in the quarterfinals, 3-1. And has punched his ticket into another Australian Open semifinal. He's 11th in his career, which is, of course, a record. Funny thing, and a fact that I really love, he never lost in the semis. So I really hope, and I know that all three of us hope that trend continues. But I wanted to hear your, first thoughts, reaction, major takeaways from the match that we in Europe saw this morning. Jay, it was late last night for you in LA. So yes, trust me, I was so pleased because when Novak plays this very early early in the morning, I usually can't stay up because I have finally gotten to a normal regular sleeping cycle, so I can do that. And I was expecting to maybe catch the third set or fourth if there was to be one, which it was ultimately. But I woke up literally a game before the tiebreak in the first set, so I was very pleased. But I know that you weren't. So why don't we start with you? Give me your first impressions of last night's match.
Sure, and I'll start with the fact that we were kind of anticipating this match to start somewhere around maybe 8 p.m. local time, our time here out on the West Coast. And I don't believe the match started until maybe after 10. I mean, it was maybe 9 something. I don't remember exactly, but there was a long match between Goff and Kostyuk that went, for over 3 hours, I think, if I remember correctly.
Or I think it was almost 4 hours, right? I think I saw like 3.
It was 3 plus.
No.
So, it was a grind.
Minutes. 4 or 5 minutes, about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
So already I was kind of, dragging a little bit because it was getting kind of late out here for us. And then the actual match started, and the first game was like 16 and a half minutes. And I don't know,
26 points.
And there were numerous break point opportunities. And that ended up being the story of the match, was the breakpoint opportunities, and Novak failed
0 for 15.
Yeah,
never happened before. I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't have any really fascinating statistics other than I was working on something this morning. This was the 28th match of Novak's career in which he created at least 20 breakpoint chances. So 28 times out of, what is it now? Almost 1,100 wins and 200 something plus losses. So well over 1,300 career matches. And this is only the 28th instance of creating over 20 breaks.
That's what percentage? Do you have that info?
I don't.
I'm trying to calculate it right now.
Very, very low. So
very, very low.
I got to believe that to go 0-15 on breakpoint opportunities the odds are like millions to 1, something like that. But we have to give Fritz a lot of credit. I mean, he did play, I would say maybe like 10 of those points, just phenomenally, either landing a good first serve or, striking an incredible shot in a rally, a prolonged rally. I mean, there was at least one where he painted a line with a backhand. And then there was I think it might have even been the 15th break point that he saved. It was just unbelievable.
Multiple times. I mean,
unbelievable. With just an extended rally, and both players were dragged way off the court. And so Fritz really deserves a ton of credit. But at the same time, wow. I mean, there's at least, a handful where you would think even just some luck, a net cord or a ball just goes wide or something where you'd think Novak would get a point there, but he just could not break through. So in retrospect, winning the first set was critical. I mean, winning that tie, he did play a great tiebreaker. There were at least 2 points that he kind of stole with just incredible play. We all remember, I think, the sliding backhand pass that he hit for a winner at maybe 4-1 or something like that in the tie break. But even the very first point where Fritz served, Fritz hit a great serve. Novak did incredibly well just to make him hit an extra ball, and Fritz, I mean, he should have made it, but he had like a swinging volley forehand that he hit long, and just making him hit that shot in a pressure spot ended up being a big swing. So all in all, wow, it was a grind over, another long match that felt like it could. I mean, you look at the statistics, and if you didn't know anything about what happened in the match, you would think it was a straight set win. I mean, Novak won more total points than Sinner did against Rublev, just to give you some idea of how unusual it was to see a match drag, well over almost 4 hours, I believe, and go 4 long sets. So kudos to Novak. He did raise his level a lot there in the third and fourth sets, and I think the getting out of the bright sun certainly helped him get through it.
Yeah, Mario. Before I ask you something, I just wanted to. I have a message for our audience. And you guys know what it is. Please, like this video, leave a comment down below, share it, and of course, please consider subscribing to this channel and turning that notification bell on. You guys know the gist of it. So Mario, first of all, it's great to have you back after your absence from the last episode. We were really missing you, and our listeners were missing you. So it's great to have you back. Do you think that those now infamous 0 for 15, which again had never happened. I was wondering this morning, has it ever happened? But again, Jay, please, because I'm always forgetting the name of the guy behind the Tennis Abstract
Jeff
page.
Jeff
Sackman. Yeah, he actually posted it on Twitter, and I saw it. So it never happened
2018
before.
Federer was the previous record. Love to 12. It was
something like that. So was that the story of the tournament, or do you think it was something else? The story of the tournament. Sorry, the story of the match. Well, might have been the story of the tournament as well.
Mostly yes, in my opinion, because Fritz played a very good match. But I think that we can also be quite satisfied with Novak's performance today. I think he played a good match. Maybe he had a game off in the fourth set when he found himself a breakup, and then he has been broken for 4-3, but never happened because he then broke again in the following game. But it's normal also to have at times some 5-10 minutes in when you go a little bit off, when you have this best of 5 long matches. Overall, we are in a Grand Slam quarterfinal. Now it's semifinal, but for today's match, it was a Grand Slam quarterfinal. We can't expect any more total beatdowns or something like that. If it happens, it can happen, of course, but it's not that one the standard we should have. And Fritz played a great match, a great tournament. So even if I just wake up now and see the score without having watched the match, I can feel the score quite suitable also for the way Fritz was playing. He played this match against Tsitsipas in the 4th round, and so I think that we can be satisfied from Novak's side, both for the performance, the score. I mean, breakpoint conversion has not been great till that point of the 3rd set. But again, most of the break points, Fritz just played very well. So I think that it's a funny story. At some point, it became also funny in some way, just to find out how will he break, how
Yeah, will he ever?
yeah, exactly. But in the end, I was kind of aware that even if the start was a 0 out of 15, the breaks should have come sooner or later, because it was in the air since the beginning of the match. And also at the beginning, it may be even more difficult, as it has been, to break, because even if you have 2 break points, your opponent maybe can serve better, because you still maybe don't read the serve as well in the first set as you may do in the third or the fourth. And this fresher also, in the end, we have seen how Fritz was not fresher anymore, especially in the fourth set. So I think that it's been a good performance, and we can be more than okay, in my opinion. Yeah, some points maybe could have played a bit better, but overall, it's been a good and quite encouraging performance.
Yeah, we again saw in this match something similar to what we saw in the first two opening rounds. So Novak wins, then loses another, but overall, he was a little bit struggling in those two opening sets, which he addressed in his post-match press conference, and I think he also spoke about that with Nick Kyrgios on during his on-court interview. I would lie if I said that when I woke up this morning and saw the heat and saw a couple of those short videos on Twitter from Eurosport or whoever, that Novak was kind of struggling. I did get a little bit of a flashback from what we saw in Cincinnati last year, but if you ask me honestly, again, I never thought that the match was in jeopardy. But do you think that the struggles were solely due to heat, or again a combination of multiple factors? His lack of high level, especially compared to the last two sets, and of course, as you guys both said, Fritz's great level in today's match.
Yeah, I think Novak from the back of the court played very well. Actually, I don't think there were. I don't quite think it was as oppressive either as Cincinnati. Novak was. I felt like he was, purposefully trying to kind of stay within himself and stay calm to kind of preserve energy, because I do think he was cognizant that it was a hot day and it was going to be a physical, tough match. So I think he managed things very well. The only area where Novak did not play well in the first couple of sets was on serve. He served uncharacteristically.
Yeah,
I would say
48% in the first set.
Totally, in the first two sets of the match, it got a little bit better towards the kind of middle point of the second set. I think once he went down that break where he broke himself with just some sloppy double faults and seemed to be upset with his camp about maybe some information that they were giving him, or who knows exactly. But when he got broken there, that actually kind of freed him, I think, and he started to serve much better from that point on. In fact, there were I think his next 2 or 3 service games after that, he was just ripping through them and 40 love and hitting his spots and hitting aces everywhere. And I was thinking to myself, where has that been for the last 2 hours? So it just goes to show you the importance of the serve. I pointed out that for both Djokovic and Fritz, actually, in the kind of preview from our last podcast.
Yeah.
And, I felt like Fritz was going to have to serve upwards. He served just under 70% against Tsitsipas, and I thought he'd need to do something similar like that against Novak. And I think he did serve well, but his percentage was around 58%, which is solid. Don't get me wrong; it's probably slightly above his average, first serve percentage. But it wasn't enough, against a player of Novak's caliber. But yeah, Novak, wow! I mean, the first couple of sets, he just made things so. I mean, it was one thing to have all those breakpoint opportunities, but to be struggling to land any first serves in those first couple of sets just made things so difficult for him. And from the fourth set on, it was a totally different Novak, a totally different match, and much more reminiscent of what we saw in Cincinnati and the U.S. Open last year in those Fritz Djokovic matchups.
Mario, what do you think Taylor's strategy was going into this match against Novak?
It's always difficult, because
Yeah.
when you face this some player, regardless of how well he can play, in general, those kind of players who have no real weaknesses, it's difficult to build a clear game plan to exploit some weakness that your opponent basically doesn't have. So I think that the main focus was to just play very well his game, and have probably, I think that he was remember what happened in their last two meetings when Novak won 6-love the first set in Cincinnati and 6-1 at the US Open. I think that probably it was important for Fritz this time to have a better start of the match, better approach, to not let Novak have already a big lead to then just go through comfortably. So to put him a little bit under pressure, and it has also worked a little bit. But as he also said in the press conferences, the fact is that he needed to do things at that level for another couple of hours minimum if he wanted to come out on top of this match, and that for him was not really possible. And another thing I wanted to say is that thinking about what I posted yesterday also on Twitter, if we excluded matches that ended and in retirements or the disqualification, Novak has won all his last 105 matches played at Grand Slams against player not ranked among the top 5. So even against player ranked 6, 7, 8, and all lower ranked, he won all the last 105 matches played.
This is such a Jay Schroeder stat.
The last one was against Cecchinato at the French Open in 2018. Since then, his record has been immaculate, if not for the retirement against Wawrinka at the US Open and the disqualification of the year, the following
matches,
year.
Yeah. Impressive. Great stat, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's just to underline that over the past 5 years and a half, only the very, very, very top level players have managed somehow to beat him at a Grand Slam, because we are talking literally, about Medvedev at the US Open final. So basically a player who would have won a Grand Slam, Alcaraz at Wimbledon, Nadal on clay, a guy who's been basically more or less unbeatable in Grand Slams until you're not one of the very, very, very top player.
Well, basically the best of the best.
The best of the best, yes, for sure.
Yeah, the creme de la creme, as the French would say it. When we talk about the impressive numbers, I have some for you. This was, I assume you already saw this, but this was Novak's 700 win on hard court, which is again impressive, huge milestone. Only Roger has more currently. I think his number is 783, which I really believe that Novak will surpass that when he retires. By the time he retires, also 33rd consecutive victory at the Australian Open, which ties him, again, if we count women tennis as well, with another one of our own, Monica Seles, which Novak talked about during his post-match press conference. It was, really not. I always love when our players, and especially when Novak talks about Monica, and because even though most of the people over here, especially those who follow sports in tennis, know about her and are aware of her, like Novak said. I don't even think that she has been in Serbia even once in the 21st century. I think that after she took the U.S. citizenship in 95, I believe, or 94. She went on to represent it from 96, I believe. Jay, correct me. I think you know better than me. She spent most of her time in the States. So yeah, I'm always pleased when I see her and hear from her, and of course, like I said, when I hear from Novak talk about her and how again instrumental she was in his especially tennis upbringing. So another stat I want to tell you. This is from our friend Jared Pine, who is a huge Novak fan. I think he also lives in California. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so. I think he does. Yeah. I'm not sure if he might be maybe in the Bay Area or San Diego area. I'm not sure though. But yeah, he is out here somewhere.
He also compiled a tweet that basically, as I said, this was Novak's 11th Australian Open semifinal. He's the only player ever who has double-digit semifinal appearances on every major, and coincidentally, it's 11 on all tournaments. So yeah, impressive.
Yeah, but because, and that's even more impressive to think, the Australian Open, which is, the slam he won the most throughout his career, is the only one. He has only, let's say, 11 semifinals, because he has 12 at the French Open, 13 maybe the US Open, I think 12 in Wimbledon, something like that. But he has at least 12 in all the other three majors, and that speaks a lot about, the versatility of the game. Of his game.
I mean, incredible, honestly. And I remember I wrote a tweet a couple of days ago. I think before he was playing his fourth round match against Manarino. Of course, he managed to achieve that, but before that, he had less quarterfinal appearances on his favorite tournament, which is Australian Open, then Rafa Nadal, and had more quarterfinals appearances at Roland Garros, which is Rafa's tournament, than Rafa, which was again some really interesting stuff. Okay, guys, do you have something else to add to the Novak Fritz match, or should we talk a little bit about the upcoming semis on Friday against Jannik Sinner?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that maybe would be worth touching on.
Maybe, yeah. I'm trying to see if I maybe missed something, but I think we covered most of it, honestly.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is I did think Fritz was maybe even a little bit more aggressive today or last night, whenever it was, and I think that was probably something that his coach and his team had really stressed to him. Like, go for your shots. He was really quite aggressive, I thought, with his forehand in particular, and he protected his second serve quite a bit better than he had in the previous few matches against Novak. Someone had pointed out, I think it was Gil Gross, in his quarterfinal preview, that that was where Novak had really done a ton of damage against Fritz. Was on Fritz's second serve, winning upwards of 60-something%. Or even more on Fritz's second serve, and this one was almost close. It was very close to 50%. So Fritz did a little bit better there. So maybe a little bit more aggressive with the second serve, or maybe it was more, the shots after the serve. But I thought Fritz played pretty well. I don't know what else he could really have done. I mean, especially when you consider the break point kind of outperformance. I mean, that's just. I mean, you can say all you want about how great Fritz was playing on those points, and maybe even if Novak missed a few opportunities, but even in spite of all that, I mean, it's just shocking. 0-15. I just can't. It was very frustrating as a Novak fan to suffer through that.
I literally found it funny at some point. I could not believe what I was witnessing.
If you weren't gonna cry, I guess the only other thing you could do is laugh.
Laugh, yeah, which is always a better option. Okay, guys, let's continue with the show. So as I said, and as most of you guys who are watching this are probably familiar, Novak will face Jannik Sinner in the semis, which again was expected. Really, something that I believe most people were looking, forward to, except the Rublev or Russian fans. Even though I love Rublev, I mean, I met him in Banja Luka last year. and as I said multiple times, I really believe he's the sweetest and nicest guy on the ATP tour. But again, as we saw in today's match, he's not in that Yannick Sinner, Medvedev, Carlos Alcaraz class. Novak is still head and shoulders above those guys as well. So Yannick defeated Andre in straight set. It was 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. Andre played really well. I don't know if you guys watched that match. I was semi-watching it because I was doing laundry and washing the dishes. So I was more listening than watching the match. But again, he had a lot of chances, a lot of break points as well, which I was really impressed with Yannick's game and composure in those moments. It kind of reminded me of what I saw from Novak in the last couple of years. We talked a lot about his serve, especially during this Australian Open special, and how much he has improved when Goran joined his team. And there were multiple times where he was facing a break point, and then his serve would basically do the trick, and so he would either hit the ace or win a point easily. So Mario, let's start with you, buddy. We know you're Italian. We know you have some
weakness.
Weakness when it comes to Friday, and your Novak fandom. We know that you love Yannick Sinner, which of course is natural. He's your compatriot, and of course that you want him to do well. But let me ask you, because again, I presume that you've been watching his matches, or at least checking him out during this tournament. He never lost a set so far in five. In the first five matches at the Australian Open. How impressive has he been this year? I mean, at this tournament, and were you expecting this after the great finish he had last season?
Well, to be honest, yes, because it's not that what he did in the end of the season came out of nowhere. Meaning that still at early 2023, even if still not at that peak level, but he was still already improving and playing well. I remember, for example, the win he had against Alcaraz in Miami. He was a semi-finalist at Indian Wells. So, he was starting pushing those kind of players. So, it's kind of been a growth that came, in my opinion, in more or less expected way. Probably not, already so high at the end of the year, but more or less, it was knocking on the door. So I was pretty confident that he would have started better the season. He decided to start already with the Australian Open because having also played Davis Cup, he finished the season quite late. And it made sense. It made sense in the end because he did what his seeding was require him to do, reach the semifinal. He did it without dropping any set. Today, he surpassed, in my opinion, well, those couple of last tests, because Khachanov and Rublev are still two very solid players who are definitely a test at Grand Slam level. And yeah, he definitely proved that right now, in my opinion, there is quite a difference between the top four and the rest of the field. I still don't know if both Medvedev and Alcaraz will be in the semifinal because they will play tomorrow. But still, I think that more or less they are still proving this. Today, it's been a very good performance, of course, against Rublev. Even if he's not maybe that level of the top four, it's still the best among the rest. Number 5, he's playing consistently. Quarterfinalist in 5 out of the last 6 majors. So even in major events, he doesn't lose usually against the lower ranked players. So the match, even if his straight sets, was a bit tough as expected. And I think he did very well, especially under pressure. He definitely improved there. We've also seen in the matches he played against Novak in the end of last year that under pressure, Sinner has been very composed. So yeah, it's the semi most of people probably wanted to watch before the start of the tournament. And of course, I think that Novak has to bring his A game, because we're in the semifinal against the fourth best player in the world. So of course Novak will need to be spot on, as I think he will. But it's just right to remind that it's going to be for sure a tough match.
Yeah. Jay, how do we approach this match? How much of a, let's call it, baggage will Novak have because of that loss he endured in the Davis Cup, which was again a major disappointment for both him and us, Serbian fans.
No baggage. I think Novak has moved on from that. I mean, I think he'll try to use it as motivation for sure. That he had chances and was right there, and it got away from him, and he'll want to try to right that wrong, so to speak. But I don't think he'll spend too much time on that match. To be honest with you, it's just different. Best of three, indoors. Different time of year. This is a totally different tournament. A new year, new start. So I think all that goes out the window. To me, this match is going to come down to one thing and one thing only, and that is big points. It's just there's very little to separate these guys, and I'm hopeful that, given what we just saw in that Fritz match, that Novak's luck will turn a little bit, because it's the exact opposite with Sinner. I mean, Sinner has saved, I believe, something like 27 of his last 29 break points or something.
In World Tournament.
Just ludicrous numbers, I mean, so can he keep that up? I mean, maybe so. But that, to me, that's it. I mean, there's nothing to separate these guys. It's going to be an absolute razor-tight match where, it's a 50-50 type of coin toss, and whoever plays those big points, better is going to win the match. To me, it's that simple. I can't see it any other way, unless, there's an injury or, the conditions are so, out of the blue, maybe all of a sudden there's a big heat wave that comes in they weren't expecting, something like that. It'd have to be something shocking to me, in my opinion, for this not to be about, one or two chances in every set that's going to make the difference.
How much is Sinner gonna dwell on, think about this encounter? Because if we go back to November and that victory at the ATP finals in the round robin stage, I remember a lot of people, most people, tennis, from the tennis world, talking about how huge this is for Yannick, going forward, that he, managed to kind of beat this obstacle to win against Novak Djokovic, which he never did before that. I believe that their head prior to that was 3-0, and Novak won both of their Grand Slam matches, which were both at Wimbledon. First one, 2022 quarterfinals, that amazing comeback from 2-0 behind. Then second one was last year in the semis of Wimbledon. And again, of course, he did lose in the final, which was, great for us and great for Novak. But he did, again, manage to beat him in Davis Cup, and has been looking amazing, as we talked about in the last couple of minutes. So yeah, basically, this is a different beast. This is a best of 5. We know how difficult it is to beat Novak in best of 5. Again, Taylor Fritz talked about in his press conference, and I was going to ask you guys, later about that. How do you think, Mario, that are there any rumblings in Italy? What's the press saying? How Yannick should approach this match, and basically that.
Well, in my opinion, this is one of the simplest cases, because in my opinion, it's just a matter that Sinner has proved himself and others that he can make things difficult for Novak on the court. Still, it's best of 5. It's more difficult. It's different. So yeah, it's simply, of course, Novak, especially because we are in Melbourne, It would have been whenever, but especially in Melbourne, Novak will step on court as the favorite, would be even in a potential final against everyone. Simply, Yannick has to play well to do it for a long time, and for sure there's gonna be some chance. Maybe not many, because Novak will play very well. Maybe Yannick will do a fantastic performance and have some more chances than people are expecting. I think that it's going to be tough battle. Then the serve will decide a lot. Both, in my opinion, both are going to ask so much from their serves. First of all, because they're going to be.
Do you think? Let me ask you. Do you think that the serve for both of them is going to be crucial in this match?
Yeah, for sure. For me, we are talking about the two best returners right now. So I'm expecting some chances to be from both sides in the return games. And so I think that, as we also seen more or less in their the three encounters they had late in last years, but also Wimbledon showed us a little bit of this, the ability of serve well when matters, save break point. For example, when Sinner found himself down love 40, 3 match point consecutive, he also served very well, and maybe a couple of second serves and Novak would have taken that match. So I think that as Jay said, big points are going to do most of most of the scoreline, even if it's going to be a straight set. Still the big points are going to matter a lot to to decide what kind of match we are going to watch. For sure, it's going to be, at least before the match on paper, this is the most difficult match for both, of course, of the tournament.
Yeah, Jay, what do you think it's more probable, Novak's win in straight set or in 5 sets?
5 sets.
Mario, do you agree?
Most probable.
More probable.
More, yeah. I think Yannick is ready to win 1 set. So probably, this is a match I'm expecting to probably to be 4, even if as I may have imagined, I think Novak is going to win right now. I have this feeling, knowing, but I kind of agree that probably 5 set is more probable than 3.
If we're picking, I would actually go with Novak winning in straight sets, honestly, because I really think he's going to be very, very fired up about this match. This is actually going to be his first proper rival, with all due respect to everyone he previously faced, especially Taylor Fritz. But again, as I said previously, these are now the big boys, Alcaraz, Medvedev, and Jannik Sinner. So you guys would go, if I ask you to pick the outcome, you would go with Novak in 5, both of you?
Well, I don't know about that. I just just between whether I think what's more likely, a 3-setter for Novak or a 5-setter. I think 5-setter is more likely. I don't see a straight set match here. I just don't see it. It's possible, obviously, but I think these guys are too closely matched to expect that. But 4 or 5, I think is the higher probability. But I don't know. I hope that given the track record here in the semis and the finals, that Novak can keep that streak going. He's 20-0 at this stage and further. But I also think that I'd have to go back and look at his semifinal and finals at the Australian Open since in all those times that he won. And I don't know that he's going to have a tougher path than this semifinal and final, that he's going to be, we don't know who's going to be in the final yet, or if Novak even can get through the semifinal match. But if he is able to beat Sinner and then follow that up with either a win against Medvedev or Alcaraz, or even Zverev, I guess, to some extent, but more so, you know, Ahmed or Alcaraz. I think that's about as tough of a semifinal final Australian Open route he'll have had since, you know, maybe a Federer Murray in 2016 or a Nadal Murray in 2012. You know, it's
yeah.
I think these guys are kind of in that class of the way that they're playing in the last, you know, 12, 24 months or whatever. So this is no easy feat. It's not a foregone conclusion. Novak is going to be the favorite, but you know, I think it really small margins here, you know, 52-48 kind of, you know, expectations.
Yeah. By the way, I have something to read to you guys, which I'm hoping it's not going to happen. But this is a tweet from Bastien Fashan that says, players to beat Novak Djokovic at Grand Slam, ATP Finals, and Davis Cup level. Only 2 guys. The usual suspect, Roger and Rafa. And he says Jannik Sinner, you know, edging his name into history with a win on Friday, which, of course, none of us is expecting or especially wanted it to happen. So, yeah, it's going to be a blockbuster matchup, definitely. I'm really glad that we have, you know, Jannik and Novak in the semis, and I think that, again, the 3 of us are expecting Daniil and Carlos in the other half to you know, face. We'll see.
I'll just give a quick shout out though to Hubie. I didn't mean to forget to leave him out. Actually, I mean, he's playing very well, and with that serve, he gives himself a chance against anybody, especially with, you know, the way Medvedev plays, but so far back, you know. Hurkacz's volleys very well and comes forward very well. So it's a tough matchup for Medvedev. I would still expect Daniil to find a way through it, but it's not going to be easy for him. So I didn't mean to omit Hubert when I was naming the 3 other options. There's 4, I guess, but regardless, all these players that are left in the field are top quality players.
Yeah, curiously, both Alcaraz and Medvedev tomorrow faces an opponent against whom they have a losing record in official matches, because Alcaraz is 3-4 against Zverev and Medvedev is 2-3 against Hurkacz. So these are going to be probably tough matches. By the way, if Sinner wants to win this Australian Open, he has already beaten a top 5 in the quarterfinal, has to follow up with another top 5 win in the semifinal, and probably in the final too. Do you know who is the last guy to do this in Melbourne?
Could you repeat that, Mario? What was this stat? Sorry.
Sinner has already beaten in a quarterfinal a top 5 player. He has to do that in the semifinal if he wants to keep going, and probably also in the final, because there are still 2, you know, top 5 players in the other side of the draw. Do you know who's the last guy, Marko, who did this in Melbourne? I think you have a clue.
It
would be obvious to say Novak. Yeah, David Ferrer was. Yeah, David Ferrer was.
Exactly. It doesn't happen. He happened the last time in 2012.
12 years ago.
Yeah. So Novak he's the last one to do this. It's not usual, because you can play only the number 5 seed if there are no withdrawals. So yeah, Novak has a lot of. The last time it happened, it was Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, guys, unless you have something to add, I would, you know, wrap this episode. Yeah, it was really great to have you both again. I'm gonna say hopefully, although I'm expecting to have a full house on Friday, Srihari to join us as well. It should be fun. It should be a victorious podcast again. But yeah, that would be it for today's episode. I again want to thank both of you for being with me. Quick message again for you, dear listeners. Again, please, you know, hit that like button, leave your comments and feedbacks, opinions down below. Suggestions if you have anything. And of course, please consider subscribing. We are trying to grow this channel. Our goal is to hit 5,000 by the end of this year. We'll see if we manage that. I believe that we will, because as I announced multiple times previously, there will be, a new content coming in February after the Australian Open, both short both short and long formats. So I believe that we will hit that goal, but please, and help us. Yeah, that's it, gentlemen. Take care, enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Ciao.
Thank you.